says we're streaming. It says we're live.
Are we live? Is it true? Is it just me? Hello out there? Now it says we're bad.
Variable resolution stream.
You're live.
We are live? Is it like jittery and stuff? Well, you can't really. You should probably stream it over there.
I'm not seeing it. They better hurry. These ketchup shots ain't gonna shoot themselves. Oh wait. Yep.
Are we live? Is it true? Is it just me? Hello out there?
Oh, we've been live.
We're live now?
The joys of OBS, everybody. If you've ever done a stream, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the camera's pretty good. We had to switch cameras. I think one of my cameras was a bit bad.
They better hurry. These ketchup shots.
You need to mute that.
Crooked cameras. Okay, well, I'm going to mute this. All right, everybody, thanks for bearing with us.
As you can see, we tried to set up this amazing, awesome, cool stream, and then, you know, OBS always throws a monkey wrench and everything.
Yep, that's everything that can go wrong will, right?
Pretty much.
All right, well, anyway, we're no worse for the wear. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Ketchup Edition 2. I am Pooch.
He said he can't hear me.
Hello.
Can't hear you. You can hear me. You want to share my mic? You getting close?
Let's see. Can you guys hear me?
Audio check. Are you getting
my mic
audio?
is down a little bit. I don't know why.
Bring it up more.
Can you guys hear me now?
Hear the snowball?
Can you hear my mic now? You should be able to hear me now. It looks like the same volume output as his.
Somebody out there in chat land, give us a yes or a no. Whoever's wearing headphones is going to be miserable right now.
I literally set up OBS last night to try to get this going. It's and then
Hey, Jim.
messed with it for like an hour before. So
Yeah, well, that's we try to be proactive, get prepared, and this is what happens. But hopefully we'll get better and we'll do some more testing and stuff. The snowball has melted apparently. It's like mini Twitter.
And do you have the
Travis is picking up through Pooch. Okay, so you can.
well, as long as we can,
here?
as long as you guys can hear us, we'll go ahead and start the stream. I don't want to mess around with this stuff anymore, and because we've already been messing around with it long enough, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So
Yeah. Should we get to it? Okay, it says can't hear Travis, but he does have the most awesome shirt in the world. That's true. Can you bump up at least the volume on this if we're going to share this mic then?
yeah, I think it might be all the way up. Yeah,
Are we
it is.
maxed out?
Yeah.
Do you have closed captioning turned on?
What?
Oh no, that's just me.
For the hearing. Echoey Travis.
Actually, Travis, because the snowball's not working.
So should I just turn the snowball
Kill
off?
the snowball.
Yeah, because now they're saying now you're echoey instead of being.
Okay, how's that, you guys?
What if we do this? The problem is this is not an Omni mic, so I don't know how this is going to work. So we're going to do the best we can with this. Okay, we're turning off the snowball.
The snowballs is off.
Disconnected
It's out of the
snowball.
way.
All right, let's. Okay, is this at least workable?
Yes. we
Say
need-
something.
If this is workable, we can start with the actual stream.
Okay, look at me and talk.
Stare into his eyes and speak.
Should I kiss him a little?
No. Just talk.
Okay, they're
Enunciate.
saying
Sounds good. All
All
right.
right,
we got
sounds
thumbs
good.
Up. Yeah.
All right. Welcome again to edition 2 of the Ketchup. I am Pooch.
And I am Pyro.
That's right. And today we are going to discuss a little bit more about what the goals of the Ketchup are, why we're calling it the Ketchup, and then we're just going to dive right in.
Yeah.
So Travis and I both agreed that there was a need for perhaps a little bit more community-centric streaming. So while there's a lot of interesting news going on in the world of makers and 3D printing at large, we thought it would be great to actually try to bring some more focus on the community at large, some of the projects that people are working on, some of the conversations that are being had, and throw our little special insight along the way. So what we want to do is we want to start off, I think, by taking a look at some of the tagged items that you guys have all sent us. Thank you very much for that throughout the last 2 weeks. discuss a few things, and we'll talk about some of the discussion topics we've also seen on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about what we're working on and go from there.
Sounds good.
All right. So why don't you lead us off on one of the first things that we saw tagged on Community Ketchup the last 2 weeks.
Let me switch over here real quick. All right, so we're going to start out with this amazing Mosaic palette Dory print that was done by... Mosaic actually did the print, but the original model was done by Chaos Cortec. I just thought this looked freaking epic. It excites me about the future of 3D printing. Just because of having multicolors is like the dream, and I think that there's better ways to do it. Like the palette is a stepping stone for now.
Yeah.
And there will be better ways in the near future, I feel. But this image, just like the way they captured it, just like really resonated with me. So
really quick, can you add our new camera feed to this, or is that going to be a problem while we're live?
No, I can do that.
And also, nobody tweeted out.
Well, can you...
I'm tweeting right now.
All right. It's so hard to find good help.
It is.
Right?
Yeah, seriously.
Working on
So obviously Garrett over at Chaos Cortec does amazing work, and it's really cool to see some of his stuff really come to life. It's amazing what just adding 4 different colors, what are we talking about here, 4 or 5? 4 different colors to the print really does to make it pop.
Yeah.
And, I think that's one of the things that's really neat about the palette and the MMU and stuff like that, that it doesn't take a lot of color to really add a whole nother dimension to the whole thing. So
yeah, exactly.
Like you said, while it's a stepping stone, I don't know that it's a complete end-to-end solution. It's really neat to see. And correct me if I'm wrong, but they also did some of his other models, or at least one of his other models.
Yeah, from what I've seen before, they did the Roberto model from Futurama, the stabby guy.
Stabby robot?
Stabby robot.
Stabby Roberto. Yeah. And we've seen the palette guys do all kinds of different colorized stuff. And you've worked on a few of these yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm excited about the stuff that I can do in the future with the palette. Unfortunately, I've had lots of problems with mine, so I haven't really gotten it up and running all the way. I've had a lot of success in the in the past probably the past month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys will probably start seeing a lot more from me with the palette, and I've had it hooked up with the Robo R2 for a while, so.
Yeah, so one of the nice things about the palette is that it's designed to be a solution that can be implemented with many different printers. It's not specific to one platform, which I think is awesome. But then, of course, the downside of that is that it adds a whole nother set of things that can go wrong, layer of complexity, and things that need to be tinkered with. Let's move on the other things that are hashtagged. One of the things I found about a week ago. There is a guy, I think, Heather, was he from Norway, you said?
Yeah, from Norway.
I don't know how to pronounce his name, but these surprise eggs. So if any of you out there have ever seen Kinder eggs, they're really popular in Europe. They're actually technically, well, the original ones are technically illegal in the U.S.
Yes, true.
But they have a kind of a variant of it that has been since legalized. But anyway, I really, being a Top Gun aficionado, I really appreciate this particular toy where he's got the little Tomcat in there with the swept wings and the variable wings. I thought that was really cool. And he's done a couple of other little surprise egg models, and I thought this was a really clever design. Very intricate for the size that it was. I mean, that's not an easy thing to model up, obviously.
Yeah, the jet was actually the 6th one. He's had a fire truck, a excavator, a forklift.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Solid.
A train.
Yeah. And were these all operable models?
Yes, all of them are print in place and are all operable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love print in place models. That was one of my favorite things. Supports. Who has time for supports?
Yeah. So can you guys hear Heather at all? Because she's yelling from the background. I don't want to be like talking to her and you guys can't understand anything she's saying. We might get her a mic next time.
We're slowly improving the production value as we start to get this all figured out.
To pick up Gordon, yeah, I have talked to Mosaic lots of times. Me and Mosaic I like this, man. So don't worry about that. It's just problems that we're working through. So
yeah, I mean, I think as with any new technology, and we'll kind of get into this a little bit later because there was a nice tweet we had earlier this week that kind of focuses around what the printer, really is. We'll get to that in a second.
I'm louder than you, babe.
Oh, really? Nice.
It picks up that frequency, I think, a little bit better. All right, let's move on down the list. So, why don't you go ahead and talk about this? This is really exciting. I'm excited about the Peopoly, the DFA.
Just amazing, man. I still want to get my hands on some kind of SLA printer. I haven't been able to, I think I can make some amazing things, but this thing just looks freaking epic.
I mean, the level of detail, obviously, that you get on an SLA printer, and I've seen the Moai at work down at Matter Hackers,
Look at that.
And at Murph. I just love that his spikes have spikes. We talked about that. I mean, like that's, and this is so to give you guys some perspective, if you haven't seen this, he's almost a foot tall. That's a foot tall fill, punk fill, in SLA. On
SD card for size.
Yeah, SD card.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. You do have the SD card for size there. And so the idea of, and is this just a prototype still? This is a concept model.
Right. It will be
it's going to be at Maker
Mark
Fair,
is going to be showing it off at Maker Fair. So if you have a chance to check that out, I know I will be. That's going to be really exciting. But the format, it's a large format SLA. I don't know that anybody's replicated this build volume to date. At least certainly not at this whatever price point I'm sure he's going to come at. So it's the 300 by 300 by 300. So that's just about a cubic foot, which is pretty good.
Everyone's asking about price point. Currently, it looks like there isn't any kind of price point for it. This is something they're definitely still working on.
So for those of you who can't,
early stages,
for those of you who can't hear Heather, she's just commenting on price point. It's still early stages, and of course, anytime new things like this get teased, the prices, the details of it come out yet.
He said it's not going to be.
It's not going to be, but the Punk Fill will be.
Punk Fill is going to be. Oh, that's too bad because I would have loved to see the DFA, but I'm sure we'll see it soon enough.
It's still awesome to see the Punk Fill.
Yeah.
No, it really is. Yeah, Mike, no price equals free. That's how it works. The other thing that was interesting, I think you said the VAT on this thing was something like, what was it, 27 liters?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So that's
not going to be cheap
how much
materials.
How much Punk Fill cost to print, I wonder?
Right.
Yeah, somebody do the math. Chris, do the math on that for us really quick. What is a Punk Fill of that size gonna cost in resin? Anyway, this is exciting tech. Always like seeing this stuff. I am still hesitant to get into the SLA. I think price point. It's certainly Mark and Peopoly have done a great job at making it affordable to the masses. I'm still a little bit the amount of post processing that you've got to do. Yeah, know how I feel about post processing.
I know you don't want to sand.
I don't even want to sand anything. Never mind. UV cure and Babe and isopropyl alcohol things.
So they're saying it's about 6 gallons, and Chris is saying it would be about $100 for fill.
That's $100 fill right there.
$100 fill.
$100 fill. $100 Punk Fill.
And they're saying that they can hear me just fine.
Nice.
FYI.
That's amazing. It's the acoustics in here.
So I should throw my snowball out, and we should just use this one mic.
Articulate. Or maybe you need to go over there.
Maybe.
Just go over there. All right, moving on. M3D Open Quad Fusion Print Head. If you guys haven't seen this yet, we've seen multi-in, single-out type solutions before from E3D. They are claiming to be one of the first of their kind where they're actually attempting to blend like a CMYK process the same way a 2D printer would to create I don't want to say an infinite number of colors, but I think they said something like a 50,000 color gamut.
See, this is the first time I'm actually seeing this.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier with the palettes. Like, these new technologies is what is just exciting me so much about 3D printing. Is like you were talking about earlier, in, you know, what, 10 years, we're not going to be talking about like how one spool of one color filament is just so obsolete and so dumb, like, that we ever printed with that.
I know. It reminds me of, like, back in the day, you know, 2D. It's very analogous to the 2D printing world. Yeah. You remember back in the day where you had the dot matrix, and then Apple released, or there was any dot matrix where you had the color ribbon. And, you know, if you wanted to print a long banner or something, like, you put the color ribbon in, it could do, like, a couple different colors and stuff.
The sounds those things used to make.
Yeah. But, you know, these are the iterations. The technology is still new. As with anything, I'm a, you know, healthy skeptic around this stuff. The video seemed interesting, but we're not going to show the video right here. But if you check out the hashtag, you'll find the link and see. It's not exactly, you know, doing color the way that, say, like that XYZ was doing color, where it's like really on a per layer changing color, so it can do like a color accurate thing. But it's an interesting step, because obviously to mix color is going to require like very fine detail.
So when it's actually mixing it with regular filament,
mixing the actual cut filaments to make them into different colors.
Yeah, and they were saying it doesn't have to be necessarily like CMYK, like you can use your own filaments and stuff, but the stuff they were showing off seemed very similar to, maybe not quite the way palettes working, but it almost reminded me of like when Rich Rap did the tie-dyed nylon, where it's kind of creating that rainbow effect, or like at Murph we saw there was a company that was like basically just taking filament and splicing together kind of multiples to kind of create more of that tie-dye effect and stuff like that.
The Filablend stuff?
Yeah, the Filablend, and you know, so I thought it was interesting. Whether or not it's what they promised it to be, you know, time will tell. But what was nice and what I really liked about this was that they were saying they're going to open source the whole thing. Originally, they said they were going to patent the nozzle originally, which is like a 4-in, 1-out. I'm not sure even if they would have luck patenting that, given that that's kind of been done.
What's funny too is like one of the very first 3D printers that I looked at was a Kickstarter, and it was almost this exact same concept. Yeah, and it never came out. So. I mean,
obviously the idea is nothing new. I mean, I think people, it seems like low hanging fruit. Yeah. We've seen it in 2D printing, and so it makes sense. We just need CMYK filament. I think a lot of people that don't even know 3D printing might even assume that something like this happens. Yeah. But it's not there yet, and I'm doubtful that it will get there in the filament form. You know, who knows? Like the future of 3D printing is probably something that we don't even know yet. And maybe it's a blend of SLA, maybe it's whatever. But I think we're kind of hitting peak FFF. Yeah. And in order to be more practical and fast and stuff like that, we're gonna have to see kind of a leap, a change in technology, perhaps. So that was interesting. And then also on the subject of filament that we got tagged these last 2 weeks, the ColorFab Custom filament. So on demand ordering, their minimum order quantity is just 2 kilograms. That's not really a lot. Yeah. And Heather, what did you say the pricing they were going to say was on that?
75 euros.
75 euros for 2 kilos.
And then discounted as the more you order, obviously.
And then tiered depending on the volume you're ordering. So what is that in maybe $100, a little more than $100?
Yeah, for something. Yeah, for 2 kilograms. So that's custom color.
Yeah, that's putting you in the the primo tier, the higher end stuff. For custom color, maybe that's not bad. I'm curious what kind of demand they'll see.
See, for somebody like you, it might not be as in need, but for somebody like me, when I'm doing like some custom logo that I want to look completely accurate. I was even talking to you about that with like a project that I was working on with you.
Oh, the N64 logo? Yeah,
with some of your filaments. It's just like the colors are sometimes a little bit off, and I could just if I could match those perfectly, it would just make that thing that I'm creating just like pop. It would make it just like exact. I don't know. It seems awesome to me. It does seem a little pricey for that, but
and that's the thing. Like, how do you balance that? Because to you, you just end up painting everything, and frankly, like painting makes it just pop even that much more. So it's probably not worth it to you to like spend that kind of money.
It's probably not. It is very unique and it is cool, but I don't know that the demand will be that high, like you said.
Yeah. So anyway, stuff to look for. So we had, kind of a combination of stuff that's happened in the community and stuff that's a little bit more commercial in nature, but interesting stuff nonetheless. So one of the things I want to jump to now, after kind of talking about some of the projects that we've seen, is some of the discussions that have been happening in Alaska. And dramatic is relative. It's there were two conversations that happened, and I think this was in the last week. Yeah, that happened. Well, and I kind of threw that out there to kind of spark some conversation. So if you haven't seen this, I created this infographic earlier in the week, just because I'd been kind of having some discussions with people around setting expectations of what 3D printing is really like and about. And
see, and you and Heather were talking about this earlier, and I didn't see any of it.
I know, because you don't follow any of my stuff.
No, I do follow it. But this is what the Ketchup is for, is to catch up with all this stuff.
Catch up on what we're even doing with these. Yeah. So basically I just said, okay, like, here's your 3D prints. These are 3D printing tools with the printers themselves here, and the 3D printer is you. And all the whole point is not to get into semantic discussion, right? Because anybody that's a 3D printer has spiky hair.
I have no hair. Remember that?
Travis doesn't have any hair.
But if you did have hair, this is what the artist's rendering is. Contrary to popular opinion, this is not actually Joel telling. This is a artist's depiction of what Travis would look like with hair. Okay. So anyway, it wasn't the point of this was not to get drawn into a semantic. You should 3D print some hair. That'd be awesome. It wasn't to get drawn into a semantic discussion here about whether or not the printer itself is a printer. Yes, I understand that a welder and one who welds are both called a welder, or a printer and at Kinko's and the one that is doing the printer is a printer. That's not the point. The point is that this is it's a burgeoning technology. It requires education and commitment and interest. And if you have the expectation that you're just going to be plug and play, that you're going to get in there and it's going to spit out what you need, and you're not going to have to do any tinkering, you're not going to have to figure out maybe what the best way to. And I'm not even talking about getting the printer to work necessarily. I'm talking about like designing for printing and stuff like that.
Well, the thing is that with technology in any aspect, even think about inkjet printers. They're not even still there. There's so many problems that we have with our inkjet printers all the time. Like, even the ones that we use at work, the ones we use at home. It's like you have to have like a basic understanding of how the technology is going to work.
You should not do magic that you do not understand.
Exactly.
For those of you, from what was that? Indian in the Cupboard from way back in the day. The point is this goes well beyond 3D printing. Yeah. It's more that the power is within you to educate yourself on what it is that you're doing. The minute that we start counting on the machines just to do all the work for us, that I feel like that's going to be bad news. Like there's a lot of talk about automation and all that stuff. Yeah, that's when Skynet becomes self-aware, comes online. Yeah, so anyway, I thought that was an interesting discussion and a fun one, though. So I like to try to throw stuff out there to get some thoughtful conversation. And if it's I don't know, I feel like it's not, to say controversial is a bit extreme, but that was one thing that was discussed at some degree of length. It was one of the more popular discussion topics of the last week, at least on my stream.
On your feed.
Yeah, on my feed.
That I missed completely.
Yeah, that you missed completely. You wanna talk about the other one? Yeah, you did see this one, right?
Which one are we talking about?
We're talking about printer reviewing and whether it can be done without bias if you are given a printer for free.
I missed that too.
Oh my gosh, where have you been? You've been under a rock.
I've been working and setting up things.
This is interesting to me because you've done. I have not actually done any print reviews of anything. Period. Yeah. But certainly not of anything that's been given to me. You have.
I will tell you right now, it is horrible, and I hate it, and everybody judges you, and it's garbage. True story. And I refuse to do it now. I actually will, if somebody offers me a printer or something that, even this like filament or whatever, if somebody's giving me a product, I will take it, and I will tell that company or the person that's offering me that I will do a project with that, and I will make something that looks cool. And that's what I'll do, and I'll show that off. I'm not going to review that stuff.
Right,
anymore.
like feature the thing being used, but not necessarily go into all the details. And those are different things, though, because to be fair,
because of the things that are involved with,
and that's the thing, you're never going to please all the people all the time, right? Because there's a lot of people that want different things out of watching. If they're going to spend their precious time watching YouTube. They should certainly be getting what they want because Lord knows they've paid a large amount of money for it. Sarcasm aside, though, the expectation around some people is that they really want to get into the weeds on the details of the how and how good it is and if it's reliable and all that stuff. And there's a lot of debate around if somebody is given a printer for free, which happens all the time. If you have a channel that's big enough, then you're going to start to attract sponsorship, or you're going to start to attract vendors that are going to want you to talk about their stuff. And they'll say, hey, we'll send you a printer if you talk about it. The good ones, I think, are, one, hopefully spending the time engineering their thing to a standard from the get-go that they're not going to be fully worried about burning, going down in flames potentially. But this again, it's an upcoming, literally, it's an upcoming technology, and mistakes, things happen and things break down, and it's, there is no perfect solution. But then there's other vendors that kind of expect that if they give you a printer that you're going to kind of give them, not. And there are some reviewers out there that do and have. Yeah. And I think the community is starting to get very suspicious of that, right? Mm-hmm. And so there was a discussion specifically, 2 days ago around like, well, why don't you, as a reviewer, buy the machine and do a genuine review the way, everybody else has to buy these things. Like, why don't you do that and then do a review? With the argument that you're making money from your channel, and so you should be taking the proceeds to that to purchase printers and stuff like that. And I don't know. Heather, are you aware of anybody that does? I mean, I'm sure people have done that when they're getting started. They're buying in their own.
Yeah, I mean, I know Joe from 3D Maker Noob. He did a whole series on like printers that were under $300, and he purchased those printers of his own, accord and reviewed them. And I think there's a lot of people that buy printers. I know even like Garrett and Chelsea from Chaos Core-Tech have purchased printers and then do reviews on them just to kind of put it out there. Like, we bought this with our own money. This is how we feel about it. So I think there are people that are doing that. I think as 3D printing gets more and more prominent, it's hard. There's so many printers on the market. Nobody can just buy printer after printer after printer,
Yeah.
The consensus from the chat is bring the trolls on. The trolls bring engagement. Who cares?
Well, yeah.
But
yeah,
it's...
Well, there's a fine line between, feeding the trolls and
for sure.
Getting into some discussion around stuff. Now, the manner by which people communicate sometimes is questionable, but I don't think there's any problem like having the discussion.
I think it's really hard too, because we're kind of getting at a stage with like, FDM printing where all the printers are kind of at. I mean, yes, there's printers that print at a higher level, but we're getting pretty consistent with most printers that are coming out now. So I think it's even harder for reviewers to kind of put in their own 2 cents and have it be something that's different. It's like not other than just, it prints great. Oh, do this and it prints great. It's hard.
Yeah. Chris in the chat saying, he's trying to get away from reviews. All the big names seem to be saying the same thing. I really don't want to be spending time doing reviews. And I think that's a function of what you're talking about, Heather, that we're not looking at we're not seeing anything new enough that it almost like warrants like we're not revealing a lot of new information by the review. Yeah, we can certainly say like, oh, here's the build volume and here's the specs, but you're not telling anybody anything that they can't go to the website and read of their own accord.
I mean, I still feel like there is a place for it. There are certain people that do it very well.
Yeah.
And those people could probably continue to do that, and that's fine. I'm not going to do it, and there's a lot of people that shouldn't do it either. But
so let's talk about really quick that if it could be done, what would the most pure manner of doing it be? Because I think there's some people I've seen Joel do reviews where he was given stuff, and I think he does a pretty good job of being honest and upfront. Although it's hard, and I'm sure he gets questioned all the time because he's sponsored by different companies and stuff like that. And again, there's no pleasing everybody, so you can be as good as you want to be, and you're always going to have a critic.
Yeah. There's like Tom too, does
Tom Sandlander.
Does reviews too, and
but he's even said the same thing. I mean, I think he wants to get away from doing the printer reviews. It's time consuming. Frankly, YouTube is just starting to get flooded with a lot of the same stuff. This is the best printer ever. Yeah.
I think it's hard
Eddie's
too,
talking about everyone is the best printer ever.
Yeah. Well, it's hard too because in the quickness that people want a review of a printer to come out, a lot of the people that are doing these quote-unquote reviews of printers, they're not getting the printer any much earlier than anyone who's buying the printer outright anyways. It's not like they're getting the printer, months in advance and have been able to print for hours and hours and hours with it. They're getting it and printing with it for a weekend and then putting out a quote-unquote review. And it's like, I think you can only expect so much information from that short of a period of time too.
Right. And that's the other thing. A lot of the times, like the initial review, is favorable, but the it takes time to really suss out the details around the long-term quality. Obviously, if it's going to hold up, like something can start out great, but then it just never holds up. So there's any number of things that can go into it. Matt from How I Do It, not to be confused with John from You Do It, is saying that there's absolutely a place for this, and were it not for some of the key influencers out there, he wouldn't have a printer or four. And a lot of people look to these people for advice on what to buy, and that's exactly why it's done. I'm not saying that it needs to go away. I think there will always be a place for it. I can just see why people are getting away from it too, because I think there's a concern that there's nothing new being discussed.
Okay, I'll tell you a problem right here too, is that even with my channel and like where I started with 3D printing and I was doing all artistic stuff, I was not doing any of this reviews or anything like that. But the industry, in a sense, and the companies try to push you towards that.
Right.
They want to send you stuff and they want you to review it. That's what they ask for.
Right.
So it's kind of like being pushed on. Like I didn't ever want to do reviews, and I just ended up doing it because I'm like, oh, I want a printer, And that's not how it should be, Like,
right. Well, this is nothing new. I mean, in politics, you have lobbyists that do this exact thing. Like, there's always going to be businesses that are looking to advertise in whatever means they need to get their stuff in front of their potential customers.
Yeah.
So I don't blame them for doing it. My thoughts around how it could probably be done better, and I want to take back something I said a second ago. It's not that there's nothing new to be said, because there's always going to be new printers that are released that people are going to want to know, like, is this printer any good? Especially because there's this race to the bottom with pricing.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, if it's this cheap, like, how good can it really be? So there's always going to be a place for reviews. But, I'm reminded of something like Consumer Reports. If any of you guys have seen Consumer Reports in the past, the way Consumer Reports is modeled is that's technically a non-profit, and they basically take the funding from subscriptions and stuff like that to, finance the purchase of stuff, and so that they can do this supposedly impartially, like without influence, from the manufacturer. So they're kind of coming at it more from a like, let's look and see what the more popular things are, and then let's go get one and do our review. And don't quote me on that, because that may have changed in this day and age, but I know that the intent around it was to model kind of that way.
That makes sense.
And you know, there is a possibility for somebody to do it that way, but when you think about how hard it is to make money, you know, being a content creator and stuff like that, you know, to go out and spend the money when you have the opportunity to be, you know, given one, you know, that's a whole other thing. The other thing that surprises me too is that they've seemed to have gotten away from the whole, at least in the 3D printing world, like in tech, sometimes there'll be like a review unit that goes out and you're required to send it back. I can't comment on how common that is in 3D printing world, but from what I understand, it's probably impractical a lot of the time to repackage a lot of these things and send it back. Sure. And so you just get to keep the printer. So that kind of messes with it a little bit more, messes with the system a little bit more as compared to like, if you knew you weren't actually going to get to keep this thing, how you might approach it.
It might change your opinion. It might change a lot of things.
Yeah. So, you know, again, I don't know that there's any perfect answer to it, but, you know, perhaps there's things that could be done. Like I said, I think the people that are good are willing. You know, I know Preston's talked about this quite a bit, Press Reset, that he is not willing to compromise his, you know, ethics around sharing the real deal, and he shouldn't. Yeah. And you would hope most people don't. But we've certainly seen channels that they're trying to make money and they realize that, and you know, being able to suss out, you know, who's actually on the take and who's, you know, on the up and up.
Yeah, it's a little.
You have to be suspicious though when everybody's like, "This is the best printer ever."
Yeah. Right. About every printer.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, are we beating a dead horse on this?
You are. Yes.
Okay.
So let's move on. Let's move on to what you each are working on right
now. Yeah, why don't you talk about what you've been working on these last 2 weeks, Troy?
If you guys have watched, I don't know if you guys watch my Instagram and Twitter, I post stuff all the time. I've been reorganizing like crazy so we could have this crazy setup with Community Ketchup.
Our professional set here. Which
I'll talk about real quick. The reason, I know, John, you do it, just said...
no, that was Matt.
Was it Matt that said that? So, see, I'm mixing... You guys need to change up your names, man.
You do it or how to do it? How I do it. One of them is saying you do it.
I saw it real quick.
And the other one is doing it himself.
You saw do it. You saw do it.
The problem is your icons kind of look both black and white too, so it doesn't really help you guys.
I think John's is green.
Shut the hell up.
Wow.
Anyways.
Demonetized.
Matt said, who is Reedyville Goods? Reedyville Goods, we put as our sponsor for this show because I made these awesome, like the Community Ketchup bottle right here. I posted this on my...
Is that American steel right there?
Yes, this is 22 gauge steel, sublimated. I posted this on Instagram and stuff earlier. And then we also made this cool frame for our screen over here. So we just thought we'd put them up as a sponsor for this episode because, you know, my boss is cool and he gave me this stuff. So.
And man, the stuff that you can do, like the what is the size of this, by the way?
It's 40 inches tall, and I don't remember the width. I think it's like 13 or something like that.
Yeah, so you've shown off a lot of the laser cutting and sublimating work that you've done in the past on your channel. But this is super cool, and then Reedyville also does powder coating and other
make all kinds of custom laser cut stuff.
Yeah. Anything. What was that, like, Celtic? Was it a Celtic knot? Or that was incredible. That
everybody that one went off on my Instagram. Everybody loved that.
It was really cool, right? Was that was just some customer of Reedyville's that wanted something?
Yeah. So a lot of times, let me clarify this now. A lot of times, sometimes when I post that stuff on Instagram, where it's just like me cutting something out, a lot of times that's not my artwork, and I want to make that clear. And I probably should post that in the thing. That's just like me cutting out stuff, and I'm showing the processes of the cutting and stuff like that. So,
yeah, super awesome stuff. So thank you to Reedyville for being our sponsor tonight. Let's see, Matt's saying that he and You Do It are pretty much one and the same. They're just good at robotics and painting, and we think You Do It is real. Yeah, he sure seems real to me.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Other than that, the stuff I've been working on some prints and some logos and stuff. Not very much stuff, just because we're getting ready for Maker Faire, and I've been setting up the office and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll talk about Maker Faire in just a second.
Yeah.
So things I'm working on. I'm happy to report that after having like a couple week lull of no printers running, shame. I've got a couple running and doing a couple different projects that I've been talking about doing. You give me a hard time about this all the time.
Yeah.
I got my head in many different places at once and in different directions, but. The two big things I'm working on right now are I'm doing a shootout of bed adhesion. I don't want to say like products. You know, some of them are like, so you got Build Tack, you've got the Gecko Tech, you got the Peopoly. Yeah. You've got these different bed adhesion products that I'm just kind of doing some comparisons on, and then just trying to compare that to what it's like on just plain glass with glue stick or hairspray or like a blue painter's tape. Yeah. So kind of get a feel from that. I've done a couple of preliminary results, nothing I'm posting yet, but I will say that some of them have surpassed my expectations, almost to the point where things are like holding too well. Yeah. Which I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a good problem to have. Sometimes it's not. I mean, it's not. If something's like welded to the bed, that's not really great either. So
yeah, I mean, which is nice when you have the flexible bed, but not when it's just like you have to jam that in.
Right. And so I was lucky enough to go to Reedyville a couple weeks ago, and they cut me a couple of custom steel plates. It's not spring steel, but I just wanted to have something I could quickly swap on and off on my CR10 and on my Mark III, and that's worked fine.
And you put the surface right on top of that, right?
Right. So I put the surface right on top of the steel, and then rather than getting a bunch of boro glass, that works fine for the Mark III because it's designed to work with a steel plate over that PCB. But on the CR10, that's really designed to have a piece of glass, and maybe not necessarily glass, but one of the things that's interesting about the CR10 that I've learned is that when you take that glass off, the aluminum sheet that's under it that has the bed heater on it and the frame underneath it is thin, and it's not really designed to be like flat and rigid enough to like print directly on, certainly, which isn't the intent. But when you put a thin piece of metal on top of it, it's so far below where it was designed to be when you're leveling it.
Yeah, so you have to adjust it like crazy.
You have to adjust it like crazy, and I feel like there's not enough rigidity in the plate on even that 22 gauge steel where I can't get it like as level as that boro glass. Yeah, so I found that if I take the glass and then I lower the whole thing and then I put that on top of it, that kind of keeps it nice and flat and more easily adjusted. So that's kind of a bummer because I was kind of hoping that there might be some low-hanging fruit on a product where basically you're just pre-adhering stuff to a spring steel sheet that you could just easily lay on and binder clip onto the CR10. That doesn't seem to be practical given the design of the CR10. So there may be something there if, of course, you replace the bed, but then you're talking about replacing the bed heater and all that stuff, and that kind of takes away from the advantage of something that's priced as a sub $400 printer. If it's going to cost $100 to replace the heated bed, that's not really compelling to somebody.
They're just going to use the glass.
That's true.
They're just going to use the glass. But having used like a Mark III or any other product that has like you've used the removable Gecko Tech makes one for the Flash Forge, right?
Yes. It's amazing. I love that, and I wish I had it on all my printers. But most people that have a printer are like to get those CR10s, they don't know that, and they're not gonna.
Yeah. So the only thing better than having like a nice sharp print removal tool is not even to have to use any print removal tool and just take the thing off and go boop like that, and it pops off. Again, you got to find that sweet spot in price point. So I've been working on that, and then I also teased today a racking system that I'm really, really excited about. That is really convenient for my array of printers that I have. I took over a closet, if you haven't seen. just a normal closet. I took the bypass doors off, and then I just put a shelf like halfway, and I put some printers on the top row, put them on the bottom row, and show it off.
Because this looks awesome. I really love the way you did this.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I've had some inspiration from a couple different members of the community. John from You Do It has given me some really good ideas. I haven't done it yet, but on some LED enhancements. So I just put some basic LED lights, kind of the top row and the bottom row.
That's a good.
Can you make it big?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just put some LED light strip here and here just to kind of light the thing, but there's some good opportunity to do some color and stuff. And so I've been creating this rack up here, and this is really just a set of parallel iron pipe, black iron, 1/2 inch. And I love the way that all the spools fit on it. So I'm thinking I'm going to do a second rack, maybe offset. And then I've been developing basically a spool holder that it's very similar to that tush style one where it's the bearings, where the edge of the flange of the spool just sits on it and rolls.
Yeah.
And what's sweet about that is you literally can just lift up the one you want, put the spool holder under it, and go. And so you're not having to undo something or take it off a spool holder. It's very quick to change. And so it makes it nice and modular. And then for the ones that take Bowden, I still need to work on routing my Bowden tubes down to the appropriate spot. So for the for the Mark III, I can just run filament straight down into it, as I teased in that video earlier. But for something like the CR10 at the bottom here, I'm going to need to run kind of a Bowden tube with the right amount of curve kind of down below. But I really love that I can just really easily just move and
that's
all
the
that
dream
stuff.
is be able to
Eddie says that there's no way that would work in Houston. There's too much humidity, and that they still want purple haze.
I know they want the purple haze. This right here is the last roll ever of in existence, right there, the purple haze. I know they love that purple haze. It's killing me. So humidity-wise, I've actually had some interesting thoughts around that. I left it downstairs, but the advantage of this thing being in a closet is that it can enclose it. Now, honestly, to get it to be completely sealed, that's a whole nother level of something. Yeah. But and I don't know. For the Floridians and the Houstonians in the crowd, how airtight you really need to be, and just load the thing with desiccant. But I do have a rechargeable desiccant cartridge that I keep in here. And for those of you who haven't seen that, it's really just the silicone beads, but it's inside a thing that plugs into the wall, and basically when you plug it in, it dries it back out again and recharges it. And so I just kind of leave it in there to try to keep it drying. I don't know how well that works yet, because this is kind of a new thing, but it's an idea.
Well, and we're still in California, so we have no idea.
Right, and so to be honest, some of these have been exposed to the air for almost a year, and they're still printing just fine. So that's probably an advantage of just not being a super moist environment. But I think there's opportunity to make it more
for sure.
moisture friendly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the Ketchy.
You guys want to talk about the Ketchy?
We want to talk about the Ketchy.
All right. You might have seen this shimmery thing back here.
The Ketchy, the golden Ketchy. So, as we mentioned before, we really want to try to spend some time featuring things in the community that have kind of upped the game for everybody. And so Travis and I have decided we're going to create an award. We've called it the Ketchy, and it's not actual gold, even though I'm sure it looks like it right here. But it's something we're going to give out quarterly, and we're going to take all the things that are nominated or basically tagged between now and the first Ketchy that we'll do probably. I'd like to do it maybe toward the end of the summer, and really try to honor somebody for doing something particularly special for the community. And along with the Ketchy will come an award of our determination. It'll be good, probably some some filament or some kind of nice package. So yet to be determined, but we'll let
we'll figure that.
we'll let people know what prize comes with it. And alongside of that, to try to help inspire people to send ideas to us, because there's stuff that's like we can't keep up with it all ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Even just in this time we've been talking, there's stuff that I missed, there's stuff that you missed. We just don't have no idea. There's so much stuff flying by all the time. This is the whole point of this show, is that we want to see more stuff. So
yeah, we want to incentivize the engagement. So basically, we've decided that for every catch-up we do, at the end of every episode, anybody that has submitted a tag for the bi-weekly
using the hashtag community ketchup on Twitter. I guess we'll check. We can check Instagram and Facebook too, but
sure.
Yeah. So use the hashtag community ketchup on your social media site of choice.
Right. And for those who do that, you'll be entered in to win our drawing for the show.
Yeah, and we'll just we'll have cool prizes. Obviously I work at a sign shop. I can make all kinds of crazy stuff. He's doing filament and all kinds of crazy products. So we have a bunch of stuff that we can offer to give away. So
yeah,
we want to get as many people talking about stuff as we can. So
yeah. So so in addition to the award winner, who would have their name nicely inscribed here and win the prestigious Catchy Award and stuff, we want to drive. Yeah, that's a sweet ringtone. We appreciate your guys' engagement in the process as well.
So
all right.
Are you doing a? Okay, wait. You got a little.
Did we get a little messed up?
No, you got a little smushy of the difference between the catchy.
Yep.
And the
smushy.
And the bi-weekly or the each stream award. So the catchy is a once a quarter award.
Right.
And the bi-weekly award is bi-weekly giveaway.
The bi-weekly giveaway is anybody that has submitted anything to the tag.
Yeah, so it's anytime we stream.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and if you want to be in the drawing, we'll do the drawing on stream.
Yeah.
But if you want to be on the drawing, then submit something to the hashtag for the week, and every time you do that, you'll be entered. You'll be entered. So it's not like you can do it over and over and get entered multiple times. One entry per person.
Ultimately, of course, we want to get as much information as we can, as many tags as we can, so that we can talk about as much as we can.
Yeah.
But
we want to see awesome stuff. Don't just
be like community ketchup.
Yeah, if you're tagging stuff that's not awesome, you will be penalized.
Disqualified.
Yeah. So now
God have mercy on your soul.
So for the handful of folks that
who we got? Who's
ketchups this week?
Who's
these last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
We've got Matt from How I Do It.
Okay.
We've got Danska. We've got John from You Do It.
We got all the do-its.
We've got Ryan.
Let's do it.
Sergeant Ballistic.
Oh, Sergeant Ballistic,
and we've got Modbot, which is Daniel. So we've got those 5 gentlemen that all utilize the hashtag community ketchup.
Okay.
And we're going to select a winner.
Okay. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's give something away. Let's give away. I'll do a RGB pack of filament this week.
And I would say, along with that filament, we will do a handheld size first edition community ketchup bottle.
Yes. Ooh.
Okay.
So it'll be a little bit smaller than this one.
Yeah, a little smaller than that.
For shipping. And one other thing I want to clarify. I don't think there's any shame in if you're doing something that you're excited about.
Dude,
tag yourself.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, I want to know about it, and we all want to know about it. And there's a reason you're talking about it on social media anyway. So throw the tag on there so we can see it, and perhaps we'll feature you on a stream. Our hope is that we're going to get enough stuff where we're going to not be able to talk about everything. And we'll kind of pick some of the more interesting stuff at the time. But put it on there, and hopefully we can feature you.
Oh, and Fernando, who was our winner last stream, says thanks again for the Captain America shield. He says he thinks it's awesome. He keeps showing it to everyone. So
thank you, Fernando, for watching.
Let's pick from these guys. Ready? Are we gonna drum roll?
Drum roll. Do we? Okay, it's happening off screen, so you're gonna have to trust that Heather's doing it on Up and Up. Winner is
John from You Do It.
That's You Do It or How I Do It?
Is that How I Do It?
I don't know. One of the do-its won.
One of the do-its.
John, you won. John with the silent H. Okay. This was last week's prize, or 2 weeks ago's prize.
Yeah.
Captain America shield. That's amazing when you take a photo of it, like how much the 3D really pops on that thing. You'd swear that was an actual Captain America shield.
That's pretty awesome.
All right, John, DM us your info. We'll get you some filament and your handy-dandy ketchup bottle to proudly display on your wall, and I'm sure we'll get to see it all over your awesome social media posts. So, last order of business before we sign off, I think for... did we lose the stream?
No. I announced it in the chat before the stream was caught up.
But so we're off now?
No, we're not off.
Like, I'm seeing an error occurred on the...
I think that...
No, your stream.
Oh, is that all? Okay, we're still...
You're good, you're good.
Oh, I got really scared right there.
No.
Yeah, after the start we had.
Oh, man. Okay, I guess we're still live. Anyway.
I'm in the future.
Wait, Matt's confused who I won. Matt, it wasn't you. The last thing we want to talk about is what's coming up this weekend, Trav.
What's coming up this weekend is Bay Area Maker Fair.
Woo! Super excited for Banff. Yes. I didn't get to go last year. I was actually on vacation during Banff last year.
I didn't even know you last
This
year.
is my vacation. No, that's right. I didn't even exist last year.
Didn't exist.
This was well before you weren't following me.
No,
you really weren't following me then. Oh, sorry. Headphone alert. We were yelling into the mic. Boo, boo,
We're
boo.
too excited.
We're just really excited about Banff, Chris.
So
Calm down.
excited.
Yeah,
Chris isn't going to be at Banff.
Oh, that's tragic. He's even in California.
I know. He's going somewhere else.
It's practically your backyard.
It's for work, though. I guess.
Yeah, so talk about what... is there anything that you're particularly excited about? Anyone you're particularly excited to see?
No.
What? No? No?
I'm just excited to go.
Are you... You're gonna be filming, though.
I always film it and make a video.
Well, because you're
it,
media.
Yeah, I'm media. I got the media badge. So.
Yeah. Somehow I got it
too.
Somehow I got it with the media badge as well. So I'll film it and then probably never post everything.
Release it.
No. Actually, you know what? Here's what. I pledged to release something this year. I said I'm saying it on stream. I pledged to release. I'm gonna try. I think I'm just gonna do some short form stuff because I just don't have time to edit. So I'll try to
it takes a long time.
Fly by the seat of the pants the way I always
It's
do,
hard.
and hopefully find some interesting stuff that's worth watching. And if nothing else, it'll be content for the YouTube page. Anyway, Banff's coming up. Actually taking my kids, and there's supposedly some really good kid-centric stuff this year. Ari's going as well, so that's cool. And it's close to where I grew up, so it'll be nice to be in the old stomping grounds. So if you're on the fence about it, it's one of the big three that Make Magazine does every year. They got Maker Faire New York, Chicago, and Bay Area are by far the biggest of all of them.
I've been to Bay Area and New York, and those are both awesome. Bay Area is way more spread out and way has just way more stuff going on than New York. New York's is super condensed.
Well, the real estate's not as expensive.
Exactly.
But not much less expensive. Anyway, this is Silicon Valley. But yeah, it's nothing good as in Cali. You take it back, Eddie. Whatever. You're in Houston. Hopefully you don't get wiped out by a hurricane.
You got to come out, Gordon.
Yeah. We got Gordon from that's Gordon from G-Create, right?
You're
awesome.
Way late to the show.
I'm sorry, I'm way late. Hi, Gordon. How are you? Did you even talk about the Dame Drop Shield? Are we gonna talk about that next time? We'll talk about it next time.
Talk about it next time.
Okay. All right. That's exciting too, though. All right. So if you're thinking about it, hopefully we can see you at Bay Area Maker Faire. We'll both be there. Should be a good time. And anything we want to talk about for next time besides your shield that you're working on?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we want to see
words?
those. We need to see those tags. Community Ketchup, hashtag. Give us anything that you guys see.
If you think it's cool, awesome. You need to tag it.
We want to see it.
All right, guys. Thanks for putting up with our shenanigans. Hey, there's Garrett. He jumped on. Good to see you, bud. Thanks for putting up with our technical difficulties at the beginning. Seriously. We're getting situated in our new digs here, but we're excited and we're committed, and we'll see you guys.
Yeah, you can see we're committed.
In 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks, yeah.
So what date is that, Trav?
That I have no idea.
Calendar. Heather.
2 weeks is the 30th.
The 30th.
May 30th.
30th. Okay. Are we gonna stay on Wednesdays for now?
It'll be if you want. I mean, I'm fine with Wednesdays.
All right, we'll plan on Wednesday the 30th. I like it. All right. Till then, guys, have a good night. Travis and Pyro, Pooch and Pyro, signing off.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.